I'm a rare book collector and it's the end of the year. Let's talk about the 3 books I let slip away that I wish I had not. So the first one is The Works by Benjamin Franklin. This actually was miscatalogued as a later edition of the works. This would have been a first edition of the works of Benjamin Franklin, but it had some binding issues. On the other hand, it was inscribed by a previous owner who was a woman, and these inscriptions where it says her book instead of his book are always really fascinating to me because they're just less common in the 1700s. But for whatever reason, I decided that I didn't want to go higher than the $400, so I let this one get away. The next one is what we call a Samel Band. It was a collection of multiple pamphlets all bound into one. I collect a lot of rare books on the topic of freedom of speech, of the press, on libel specifically. This was a really cool set of Dublin printings about the controversy over John Wilkes, who was a free speech radical in the 1700s in England. And I had just been buying a lot. I think this actually ended up selling for like $60 or something. I had been buying a lot around this time, so I was a little hesitant to buy more. So I let this one get away too. And then finally, the last one. This one really hurt. So this was a lot of 2 books. I actually had one of the 2 books already, the Jean-Louis Delhome's The Constitution of England. And if I had gotten that one, I would have either sold it or sold the one that I have in my collection. But the one that I really wanted, and I still think about from time to time, is the constitutions of the several independent states. So this was a London printing. It was from 1783. It's beautifully tooled on the outside in this leather binding with a liberty cap, which in the 1700s was essentially a meme for freedom or for liberty, as the name would suggest. And it's just beautifully tooled. These books aren't horribly common. The problem was this was a Swiss auction. It was bidding pretty high, and this was also around the time that the tariffs started, and I wasn't really sure, no one really was, how the tariffs would affect the import process and how much that would add to the cost. So I bid this up to about $2,300, give or take, and decided that it just was too risky in that moment. So against my better judgment, because I really still want the thing, I let this lot go too. So while I wish I had these books to add to my collection, overall, 2025 was still a really good year. It was a great year for learning more about book collecting, and it was a great year for building out my book collection, part of which you can see behind me here. So I hope everyone has a really excellent, safe, and happy New Year's, and we will see you in 2026.